So I'm going to share my screen as well, so we can follow through with the presentation.
Yeah, sure. I guess to just introduce myself and Dennis, great to have everyone. Great to have everyone on board. Really excited about this program and bringing everyone to the Web3 space and transitioning our Web2 community to Web3. And just to give you a bit of background on what we're going to sort of cover today, really it's an introduction to Near, the ideology of Near Protocol and why we chose to partner up with them, and sort of give you more of a background on why Web3, why is it important, and how it differs from the Web2 environment we're sort of in at the moment. And Dennis will sort of cover, the first program, any questions, and also future challenges that we do have. But yeah, I guess from your side, Dennis, you can intro yourself and a bit more about your background.
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you all for coming here. I take it for a fair share of you, you've had a day behind your back and now can just sit back and relax and take it all in here with what Near is all about. Very excited to tell you about Near. Indeed, my presentation will be a short intro about Near. I'll tell you a little bit about the ideology behind Near, the community, how it came to be, where it's going. We can get some questions as well in why Web3 in general, some success stories of people that came from Web2. I'll also introduce myself, of course. So you guys, I've also come from a Web2 background. So I'm also an example of someone that came from Web2 to Web3. So very eager to share my story about that. Yeah, and then we'll take it on from there. So I'll get started. So why Near? So I think the next slide. Yeah, there we go. I'll introduce myself first. So I'm Dennis. Hello, everybody. A little bit about myself. Yeah, I come from a data and analytics background. That's where I started in 2016. Pretty much using Python for data analysis / science / modeling, and making dashboards with different commercial party solutions like Tableau and a bunch of the like. Many management teams enjoy to visualize their performance metrics. Did that for a good while, and then in 2020 I started making APIs using Python. So that was my formal step into the Web2 world. So much of a backend engineer indeed, for fintech, and the related libraries for Python. So some of you might be aware of these, but Fast API is all the craze right now, and I absolutely love it. That's where I would use it for. I'd work in teams, traditionally with server-side team and a client-side team. So work a lot with people who would just take care of all the front-end work, and I could focus more on the core logic and server-side issues. Yeah, February this year, I joined the Near DevRel team. Was a very exciting change for me. I was always a little bit skeptical about the Web3 world. I've been following the crypto space since 2013. I was quite shocked, I gotta say, at 2017 and at some of the projects I saw out there. And what I mean when I say this is projects like BitConnect and others out there, the other ICOs that proved to be really scary for the space, because I really do think there is something in the technology. I think even though it's not completely figured out yet, I think it has some promising basis of which nobody knows all the answers for today. But it's definitely something to get excited about. At least that's how I looked at it. And it was a shame to see these projects out there. So I was very wary when I got introduced to Near by a friend. So I looked it up, and well, I was very excited about it. It's a real project, and that's why I joined it. I'll tell you more about it just now. That's what this presentation is all about. So what is Near? Near is a collection of initiatives, really. It's technology, the technology it has. It's well, it's really top game tech. So we make use of sharding. Ultimately, the goal is to have dynamic sharding in place that addresses the scalability issue and ensures that fees remain predictable for developers and dApps. So yeah, that's something that got me very excited from the get-go. The company as well, it's well founded and well funded. Both founders I found to have relevant backgrounds to launch and sustain a project. So a project of this scale and that is this involved. Both came from impressive Web2 backgrounds, and at the same time they had backing from the likes of Andreessen Horowitz and Dragonfly Capital and Tiger Global. So in the Web2 world, I was already following these funds and where they were looking at and where they were investing in. And their faith in Near was also a sign of encouragement for the space and especially this company. The foundation, yeah, Near has so Near right now has the Near Foundation that is in charge of doing all the grants. Maybe some of you might have already read into this, but in the Near white paper, it states that Near has a 5% inflation rate in its tokens. 4.5%, 4.5 of the 5 goes to validators in the network as staking rewards, and the other 0.5 goes directly to the Near Foundation, which then redistributes this to projects on a global scale that make use of Near. There's plenty of examples here. I'll be very happy to run through a few of them. I've got plenty of buddies as well in Web2, buddies which I would work as well before in Web2 companies, and I met during my data analytics times, who tell me, who are very skeptical about the use cases for Web3. But I've got a couple Web3 cases of myself, which I'm very excited about, and I'm also very excited to share about that. And we have the Near Collective. The Near Collective is more this international really initiative wherein people can contribute to Near itself. So be it to the code base or to the marketing or to translation of the docs and similar. So yeah, I think I touched upon a couple of reasons as to why build on Near and why I got excited about this company, of this organization and this project in particular. So we'll run through them. It's sustainable because of its proof of stake model. It definitely does not use that exorbitant amount of computing power as other protocols do. So it's got that going for it. It's fast. It's reliably between around 1.5 seconds per block production time, and it reaches finality after 2 blocks. So that's also really, really fast. It's scalable almost infinitely through the sharding mechanism. As I said, dynamic sharding will really address this. It would be a first in the industry once it's implemented. And yeah, in my view, I experienced CryptoKitties for the Ethereum network. And that really showcased that we need a different technical implementation in order to address these sporadic surges in demand and in throughput through the network. So cost effective. It has 1,000 times lower gas fees, as well as I do know that's pretty much the case for Polkadot. For Ethereum, I think it's even more than that. So yeah, gas fees are pretty much negligible, and that's a very, very nice thing to have. If you were to implement your own fungible token contracts, you need to attach 1 Yocto Near to a transaction, and 1 Yocto Near is 1 times 10 to the minus 24 of a Near. So yeah, it's for a single transaction, that's a very, very, very tiny amount. So earnings share, yeah, so it's built into the protocol level that the decentralized app owners get a 30% share of gas fees paid through the transactions on their D app. So if your D app were to somehow facilitate Near to be transacted from A to B or whatever it is, 30% of those gas fees go to your treasury, to your accounts where the smart contract is hosted. So it's interoperable, so it has a trustless bridge with Ethereum. It's the Rainbow Bridge. Rainbow Bridge is the most famous bridge here in our ecosystem. There's a couple more out there. I don't follow this day to day myself. Actually, I live a little bit more on github.com, but where you can follow these interesting projects and cool new bridges, stuff like that. It's awesomenear.com. So it's all in one word. And I think right now we got 550 or 600 projects out there. This includes DeFi platforms. It includes games. It includes ticketing ticketing solutions. So you can buy cinema tickets or festival tickets, stuff like that. You name it, they're all out there. So it's really cool to just have a browse through that website. 3 months ago, it was like 250 projects, and now it's reaching 600. So that's also has a nice pace behind it. Yeah, it's EVM compatible. So if you guys haven't heard of it, Aurora has offers a layer in which people can upload their Solidity smart contracts and have their dApps run on the Near blockchain. So and make and enjoy the cheaper gas fees. So plenty of projects that make use of that as well. Aurora is also doing very, very well, and they're also expanding their technical capabilities. It's user-friendly. Near in itself, I enjoy very much that you can have a human readable wallet with a .near address. To me, I use it a lot with my buddies as well. I also grab a couple addresses that are for fun, that just are fun to read or are funny to read, and yeah, make it a little bit of a meme. I enjoy to also have a little bit of a laugh while doing these things. Free education, yeah. Near has an entire offering of education. So you have courses you can follow. So for the Near certification, and that has a bunch of different degrees. So there's a little bit the casual level. The exact terminology escapes me right now, but I believe it's the analyst level. And you can keep going deeper and keep spending more time, and it keeps getting more ambitious. Or you can access our endless documentation. Actually, it's one of the challenges I'm addressing in DevRel together with my team to simplify that for people in general. We have really, I think, 5 or 6 different sites for docs. So there's a lot to pick up out there. Yeah, and as I said at the beginning of the chat, it's well funded, not only through the inflation mechanism, as I explained with the Near Foundation, but also through external funders, right? So through the venture capital funds I mentioned before. So that's got a lot going for it. And better engineering, yeah. The devs you can find in Near are impressive, very impressive. I came across, as it said, champion developers, academic champion developers. They are very well known within their fields. So I don't know about the VS coders here. There's this task of people who are who don't want to ask a question or just following along to please mute themselves. But yeah, we've got very impressive developers. So I don't know if we've got people here that use VS Code and code in Rust. The Rust analyzer feature. One of the key developers there, the guy that actually made it, he works in Near too, Alexei. What I love about him is that you go to his GitHub profile page and it's like all the blocks are green. It's really incredible to look at. Yeah, pragmatic, favors simplicity and ease of understanding above theoretical perfection. So yeah, it tries. So what the engineering team tries to do at Near is to keep the implementation details abstracted away from the end user. So you don't have to know about sharding. You don't have to know about the inner workings of the blockchain itself, how it communicates with itself in order to make use of it and develop quickly an application. And that's what most of you will experience in the coming weeks. is you don't have to know exactly how it works, how all different shards communicate with each other, and all the different nodes do that in order to deploy a smart contract, make a React interface for it, and host it using GitHub Pages. So that's very nice. So how do we build on Near? So that's something I'm very much involved in, as also talking with developers about how they can do this well, through these ways. We have a JavaScript SDK who just came out like last week. It's still in experimental stages, so we're still collecting lots of feedback, but it's out there. People can use it. People can fork the GitHub repo. You can follow the steps in the README file, and you'll be able to code a smart contract in JavaScript and deploy it on the Near blockchain. Mind you, that's different than the general conventional approach of how things are done. The conventional approach will be generally using Rust, or well, before that is something that's no longer supported, called assembly script. You can also go down that route, but that's of course at your own risk because it's no longer supported. But with both these conventional routes, you compile your code into WebAssembly and you upload a WebAssembly file to your account on the Near blockchain.
One question actually as well.
Yeah, of course.
Was supporting Solidity, or should I use Rust? I assume Aurora is where you could actually use the Solidity language, right?
Correct.
But I got a question up for that.
Correct. So, but of course, you add a dependency to your application. You're then dependent on the capabilities of Aurora for your DApp. So be mindful of that. But yes, you can go straight to Aurora. Your Solidity code, if it's there, just copy paste that, and you have a Near DApp. So that's the incredible convenience you get from it. Is a great. Yeah, it's great to have. So, but be mindful, of course, you're dependent of Aurora and how that works for your project. Yeah. So, and on Rust, if you want to reduce that risk or dependency, then you can develop your smart contract in Rust and deploy it directly to the Near blockchain, and that way you have more control over your DApp. So. Yeah, we have a CLI as well. The CLI, very handy. I have a couple of shell scripts myself that do a couple things on the CLI as added functionality to it. But yeah, it's a very, very handy thing. How that really works, the CLI under the hood is a bunch of JavaScript code really that makes use of the Near API.js library. So also a very, very important library that you guys will also be using for your front end of your app. That's a requirement pretty much. So yeah, we talked about Aurora, the EVM. Let's see. Yeah, our community. So yeah, that's where you guys can find me and my team too. So we're on Discord, much more than the other ones, in fact, but you can reach me through the other ones. In fact, I also talked to a couple validators on Telegram, and people I've known from the space that just rather communicate through Telegram. Twitter, I'm not an avid Twitteree or person that uses Twitter very much, but many people within Near are. Ilya, for example, uses Twitter a lot. But yeah, as I said, you can find us on the Dev Office Hours. We host daily, every weekday, twice per day, indeed, office hours. So one is at midday UTC, and that's for the European time zones, and Africa, and a little piece of Asia as well. You can find me there, and my colleague Guillermo from Spain. Yeah, and that's where you'll see us there. And later in the day, I think it's 6 UTC, you can find the other half of DevRel. That's pretty much for the Americas. So yeah, a colleague Damian from Argentina, and
I guess what's to add on to that, Dennis, I guess what's relevant to the showcode community, we do have the Discord channel of our own, and
Great.
you know, we would have a channel, a mentorship channel specifically for those challenges, which Dennis would be on, and our team at Showcode, Titus mainly as well, who would help out when it comes to the challenges week by week. So you have both the Near community, which you can join, and also Showcode as well.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, let's see. Did I cover everything? Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, a couple example projects that get me excited. There wasn't really a slide for that here, but I'm really into the ticketing ones. I've seen a couple very very exciting startups that what they do is they mint every ticket as an NFT, and that's how they give the confidence to their clients, which are event givers, that they will not that there's a fixed amount of the NFTs, and they as a contracting party will not sell more tickets than the allotment the organizer gives them. But at the same time, I also like it because what the blockchain ultimately does in this Web 2 to Web 3 setting, at least I've observed in the last few months, it replaces your server side piece of your app. So with it comes that it becomes immutable, and there's no central party that can then fiddle with the data whenever it's convenient for them. So as in this ticketing example, it provides a confidence that the technology will do as it's supposed to do, and no person will be in between. But also, yeah, something like reviews, for example, or stuff like that, where you don't want really someone to come in and change the data.
Yeah, I guess on my end, I've seen a lot of innovative projects on Near Protocol, and from the start of your presentation, you're mentioning the likes of BitConnect, or even the preconceptions of what blockchain technology is all about, right?
Yeah.
But there are amazing projects on Near Protocol. One, for example, is Open Forest Protocol, which essentially is a block. Is a way to track reforestation, regenerative projects. So for example, using blockchain technology, what Open Forest Protocol would do is track all the trees within land that are being chopped down, and also how many trees are being replanted. And using blockchain technology, they can track all of that, but also they can give access to carbon credit financing through that mechanism of tracking. So it opens up a lot of doors, but also it's very climate change impact, and that's the mission it's trying to really push forward, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, and recently a project Near's very excited about is its partnership with Sweatcoin. So I didn't know it when it was announced what Sweatcoin was. Near was very excited about it. They have a huge follower base, apparently a huge set of users, really in the multiples of millions, tens of millions, I think. And yeah, it's basically a rewards program that rewards you for walking, and you have your sweat coins in the app, and they want to make a crypto out of it, which they're going to launch in the summer. I downloaded the app and I'm loving the experience. Really, it's a lot of fun. You can trade your sweat coins for electric toothbrush, or for a voucher on Starbucks and these kinds of things. And yeah, I'm finding it a lot of fun to use it. But yeah, questions. Anybody else has any questions? Let's see. I'm running through the comments now. After writing smart contracts should be deployed into Near like mainnet of Ethereum. So the development flow, at least that's how I'm interpreting this question from Osama. The development flow in Near would look, so you have testnet and you have mainnet. Testnet is completely free, so you can, and it's a real, or actually a better depiction of what production mainnet is going to look like, because the features that will probably end up in mainnet end up first in testnet. So the development flows: you first develop your smart contracts in testnet, perform your testing, your user testing as you deem fit. If you're happy with it, then you upload your WASM files to mainnet. And at which point later you can release your application. But that's how it most of the time it looks like. The gas expenses in testnet are a real accurate reflection of what they will be in mainnet as well. In case you're wondering if there will be any discrepancy, you can always follow the update log of nearcore. So if you go to github.com/nearcore or /near/nearcore, then in the update log, you'll be able to see if there's being any update to the way gas has been calculated. But for the foreseeable year and a half, I wouldn't think so that the way gas is calculated will change. So
I guess on one question that came to mind, because I've had fellow show coders sort of ask me this, is what are the key differences when it comes to Web 2 versus Web 3? Oh, and
this meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, I read it. Thank you, Sharon.
Cool.
Jasmine, I'm gonna answer Jasmine's question first. I remember there were a couple questions before, but I'm not seeing them in the chat yet. So if anyone's out there and your question still hasn't been answered, please add it back to the chat. I don't remember quite the last two questions that were asked before we all got kicked out. So I come from a no-code BG UX designer background. So I was wondering what you would recommend learning when it comes to getting started on Web3 and starting my own projects. Either resources that exist on Near or external. Is a coding background necessary to break into the sphere? If a coding background is necessary to break into the sphere, the answer would be no. But you will, if you want to make your own application, ultimately at this point in time, then yes, you will need to learn to code, especially a front end, which is quite doable, really. I find, so as I mentioned before, my background was in back end, so front end was always a little mysterious to me. And there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. I enjoy learning with YouTube videos, but also documentation for creating a React front end. And that's what you will encounter a lot in the examples we have and in the documentation as how to create your first Near project and how to make a smart contract in Near. There's a lot of standard templates we also put out there, so you can pretty much copy paste that and or fork it or clone it, as many would call. Yeah, the standard templates are out there. The purpose is that you use them that way. So it's a learning experience. It is for me, but not completely unmanageable. It is doable, and I think if you think about UX, I think that's one of the key areas for Web3 apps now, because a lot of the backend logic is really abstracted away from the developer in Web3. Although as a developer in Web3, you can also dig into that. But generally it is. So being stronger on the UX side is very important in this field as well. So no, by all means, feel free to dig in. I encourage you to do so. And well, I find to learn it all a lot also very, very fun to do. And where you can get started, I think, so we have our Near university, if you want to go down a certification route. But we also have Near-examples on GitHub. So if you go to github.com/Near-examples, you can see a bunch of example repositories there. Or even more simply, you can go to near.dev. That's the URL. And then you get to see some basic projects and dig into the code in GitHub and run it on your machine and learn from that. That's also a starting place I took to learn a lot. And actually, I commit to those repos a lot as well. Let's see, from our Discord, what would you recommend for someone looking for additional resources to get familiar with Rust and AssemblyScript? Okay, does Near or Showcode offer any self-paced courses that would complement this program? Ron, would you like to answer from the Showcode side?
Yeah, so from the Showcode, we're offering this program really as a taste, an entry for everyone at Showcode to really get acquainted with building on Web3 and doing their, the first challenge being Hello Smart Contract. Well, build your own smart contract, which Dennis will go through probably in a few minutes.
Yeah.
In terms of self-paced courses, we are going to release more more in-depth courses after this to get you near certified developed.
Yeah.
There's some feedback. Someone's not muted.
I think I just muted. Yeah.
Cool. That's fine. So in the future from this, we will be really bringing out more in-depth courses to get you on that journey and become near certified. I guess on your end, Dennis, you have near university and etc., which I imagine you're going to talk about.
Yeah, there's the docs as well. So docs.near.org, which you can dig into, and also offers a lot of examples. We have a new a new tool, you could call it. It's called the Pagoda Dev Console. I think the URL is, well, if you Google Pagoda Dev Console, then it should be the first search result. The idea behind it is, and it's it's 1 month old, so it's also quite new. The idea behind it is that it guides you. It's like an interactive tutorial UI where you can, through it, I'd recommend the NFT 0 to Hero tutorial. Through this UI, you can then experience how it is like to, as a developer, create your first D app. It really runs through all the basics for you. It's not something you do within an hour. So I think it also took me a few days. You have to internalize a lot of things. At least for me, it was reading one sentence and there were 3 words that I wanted to Google next to that and just digging deeper. And that's how it takes a little longer. But yeah, we have the Dev Console, the examples in your examples, of course, the university, and the docs, which you can all look into.
Dennis, I'm just conscious of time, and I guess one of the things we wanted to go through is how the process would work for their first challenge. Coming up.
Very good. So I read that the first challenge we're going to have right now is the Hello Near smart contract, or the Hello World smart contract. It's the implementation is it's doable as a Hello World implementation. The idea behind it is that you'll have to make a front end, a simple one that ultimately communicates with the Near blockchain and sends this string value you give it, and it gives you back the string value with a hello in front of it. That's pretty much the raw basic implementation that's behind it. So the computing takes place, well, it's not much of computing, it's just pasting that string into the after hello, but that piece of computing takes place in the Near blockchain. So we have an example application for this that's also in near.dev, I believe, that looks very much like this implementation, which you can dig through. I think it's out of the top of my head. Don't really recall it so much, but it's among the 8 or so that are there. So pretty much it will be you guys making a front end for it that you can host using GitHub pages. So probably a React app that has one form field and a button to submit. But at the same time, it will also have to include a login flow. And there's also in the near.dev examples of how the login flow looks like for these other applications. Your smart contract will also be very not longer than definitely not longer than a few lines of code. It should be as I said, the example in near.dev should be very helpful for this. If you guys have any questions, of course, I'll be in the Discord chat. We also have the office hours, so I'm very keen to help you guys out if you have any questions on how to do that.
Cool. That sounds good. I think we have time for a few more questions.
Yeah, I see them coming in now. So
yeah,
great. Cool. So let's see, Rinasha. So I'm a startup from a non-tech background. I want to start a Web3 business. I just don't know where to start. How can I connect with the right people to help me? Good questions. And who are the right people? Yeah, very good. I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. I currently study UX design, and I want to connect people with people through hackathons. Great. So these are all great questions. So I think Discord is a little bit our center where all things happen. So I think there's a couple channels you can look for out there, out on the Discord channel. So you can meet people in the general channel of our Discord for Near, but we also have a jobs channel. You can also look into, there's people just looking for projects in there, and people who are looking for people for their projects also in there. Maybe someone's looking for a UX designer and wants to make things happen. You can also strike up conversation there. How I came onto Near was by looking at Near's career page, really. And right now it's also very much richer. It has also job openings for, I know that's not the case for you, but I say generally for the group, it has openings for Aurora and other teams that lie at the heart of the Near ecosystem. But yeah, as a startup founder, where you can look at is Discord for the people. Specifically, we have, I think it's grants.near, or if you search in Google for grants Near protocol, then I think it will be among the top results. There you can apply for a grant for your project and receive one. There are a variety of grants. I'm not a grant specialist. We have a team. The Near Foundation specifically has a team that does this. And yeah, they look into giving grants to a bunch of projects all over the world. So yeah, that's a good way you can look into that. And down the line, after you've gotten your grant, they'll help you with venture capital fund introductions if you're going well, and if the project is developing in a promising manner, then it becomes a platform for you. So yeah, these are some ways.
On our end with Showcode, how we're looking to work is we're getting everyone acquainted with Web3 and taking them down the route where they do become Near certified at the end. And you know, with Near, the opportunities are abundant. As you know, Dennis was mentioning, you do have the grant programs, but at Showcode, we're very well acquainted with Near ecosystem partners. And what that really means is, you know, you have the likes of Mintbase, Paras, which are marketplaces for NFTs. You have SeatLab, as Dennis was saying, tons and tons of projects which Showcode are connected with as well.
Yeah.
And through, you know, gaining experience in this program, there are tons of opportunities to be working with those near ecosystem partners and really follow routes which you believe in as well. So that's one offering we're looking to do in the future as well when it comes to building on Web3. And as Dennis has mentioned as well, once you do get that Near certified experience, you can then move on to start your own projects and figure out solutions that provide problems that really resonate with you.
Yeah. Agreed. I'm still looking at the questions, and at the time, yeah, we have some time to continue with the questions. I see this question from SF. Where should I start if I want to look into how to connect database, e.g. connecting user accounts into an application? I think there's a lot to unpack here in this question, especially the change in how would you call it? It's somehow a little bit of a paradigm shift. Paradigm shift is a very large term, actually, but it's just a different way of it works differently in Web3. I think we're in Web 2. Me too. I was all used to a relational database, your typical MySQL, Postgres like database. But of course, in blockchain, every different validator or node, they run a RocksDB database, which uses a Merkle tree structure. So it's different than your typical relational DB structure of data. So thinking about keeping data oriented around a user. Look, the question is a little general as well, but in Web3, that's probably going to look a little different for your application. So I think Sweatcoin, for example, I talked about this example. They go for a hybrid approach. They have their own centralized DB for general data, and I think they'll use the Sweatcoins just as fungible tokens. And at near.dev, you'll see a fungible token example, so you can see how that implementation will look like. And that's how they'll use near. For applications that want to store large amounts of data in a decentralized manner, we have a page in our documentation, and it recommends alternatives like IPFS, for example, or I think Airweave was also among the examples. And that's pretty much if you want to store something like images or stuff like that, that can be quite heavy on the data side. That can get expensive on near, because I think the rough calculation is 100 kilobytes of data is one near. So if your application stores something like that, then yeah, that would be, if you're storing images, then you as or your D app will have to pay for the storage costs. And yeah, that can get quite pricey. But your specific question, if I want to look how to connect the database, I'd want to dig it a little further. I find it a little too vague at the moment. But just looking at the question as is, a quick answer would be, yeah, you could link up something like references instead of IDs. And those references would link up with the database that you are running for your application. But of course, I'd have to dig in a little bit further on your use case and what you're really trying to do here. And maybe there's a way to do it differently without really linking up databases in this way. Of course, you want to do it in a decentralized way, replacing your server side with the blockchain or with a combination. What do you mean by database? The entire blockchain is a kind of database? Yeah, okay. Someone else answered this indeed quite well. Great answers, very useful. Okay, I got to the bottom of the list. Thank you.
Cool.
Great, very good.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, very happy to answer any more questions. I'm going to look at here. Why suggest Rust over assembly script? Yeah, multiple reasons. So I think the strongest one is assembly script is not well supported anymore. So that's the first reason. Second reason is assembly script has not been as extensively tested as Rust has. And that also means, and that's kind of like the third reason, is Rust is very strict in its data types and in what flows in and out through its functions. An assembly script can be a little bit looser about this. As such, because of these three reasons, we recommend Rust as the more reliable, predictable, and safer choice to make a smart contract that's going to handle, hopefully for you and for your dApp, hundreds of millions worth in transactions. So if you think about that, then Rust becomes a safer choice. At the same time, we have we have a dedicated Rust support channel as well in Discord. Near has, as I mentioned, some diehards in Rust, and they're also very keen to help out on how to help. They're keen on helping you integrate your or create your smart contracts in Rust. Me and Guillermo as well during office hours, or other colleagues as well during the other times during office hours. We can also think together about how you can implement your logic in smart contracts using Rust.
One question I have is, people that are on the course, on the Near program, we have a wide range of experiences, different tech stacks. What would you say is a good foundation to have, and what are the sort of issues they may find, or the challenges they may have, or sort of edges, advantages, if it comes to different sort of tech stacks?
Edges or advantages, at least in my perspective, I think it feels, at least for me, easier or it appears easier for me, for someone that's already a solid front-end engineer, to make this switch into Web3 than the other way around. Because one thing you definitely have to do is be good at front end, because you're going to have to make a front end interface for your the app. And in the meantime, the backend concept is replaced by making smart contracts in either Rust or JS or AS if you choose to go down that route. So yeah, it feels easier to come from a front end side. But yeah, I know that there are someone's very keen on Rust as well. The documentation on Rust, at least if you go to, I think there's the Rust book, it's called, from rustlang.org. It's extensive and comprehensive. So if you take the time to read it, you have a solid grasp on the language. And the community, I hear as well, and I've noticed as well from my colleagues, they're very approachable, nice to talk to, and knowledgeable as well, and they can help you very well on the language. But for me as well, Rust has been a steep learning curve, but it's of course a lower level than I came from Python, and that's very abstract and has soft type hinting. So and it's there's no crazy there's no brackets and stuff like that. Everything's just with indentation and dots. So it's extremely simplified. For me, it's of course more of a steeper learning curve, but it's manageable if you organize your learning experience for yourself in a manageable way. Then you can make it for yourself enjoyable, and you can also see progress in your own development skills within this language as well.
No, that's great. That's great. I guess the key figure here is Titus, one of our, show code advocates, you could say, and he's been amazing in terms of his journey. And I guess everyone else will eventually see him. He's played a big part on this chat as well, and he's got an incredible journey that he'd be able to share on Discord in the future. And also he'll be there as support within our show code Discord, but he's had an amazing journey where he's taken the near certified developer route, and he's working with some of the largest blue chip NFT projects and normal projects in general in near protocol. So he's definitely going to be an asset for all you guys, and big shout out to Titus. Just to wrap things up, I guess, on our end, thank you, Dennis. Appreciate your time, and appreciate everyone else's. In terms of next steps, I guess what we'll do, we'll release all the advice you've given in terms of documentation and information that will help everyone out, especially when it comes to the first challenge. And we'll be very proactive on the Discord, Titus and Dennis, to help you guys out on the first challenge, and we'll release the new webinar fairly soon next week as well.
Very well. I'm very happy to meet you all and have had a chat, and very much looking forward to these coming weeks together.
Thank you. All right, see you later.
See you later, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.